Okay, before we look at the ECITB's recently published strategy document, I think that's for 2026 to 2030, it'd perhaps be good to have a look at the work you are doing in the water industry specifically, and I think in particular, Welsh Water, you've been doing something with them in decarbonisation. So, yeah, perhaps tell us a bit about the ECITB for those who don't know, and then what's going on at Welsh Water.
Thanks, Phil. So the ECITB, we are the statutory skills body for the engineering construction industry in Great Britain. We have a statutory remit to invest in skills and training for the engineering construction workforce. And we invest about £30 million each year in training and development. And it's in the workforce that is responsible for designing, repairing, maintaining, operating and decommissioning some of the most important process plant and machinery across industrial sites, including in the water treatment industry. I suppose this collaboration with Welsh Water came about like many of our collaborations, which is through good engagement that we have with companies and also their client entities across each of the sectors in which we operate. And so, good collaboration, good engagement, leading to us identifying with Welsh Water a really good opportunity to support both their workforce and also their contracted supply chain workforce in this decarbonisation learning that we've provided to them.
Okay, and in terms of the decarbonisation in being important to Welsh Water, is it because it's the right thing to do? Is it legislation driving them? What's sort of behind it, and why the outside assistance, I guess, to help them tackle it?
Yeah, sure. So I think a key driver here has been the introduction by Ofwat of the new performance commitment for water companies to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions, which is all part of the drive to achieve net zero targets. And so this has been introduced as part of the latest AMP8 round. And Welsh Water in particular, they service around 1.4 million homes and businesses across Wales, and that we know that they're working very hard to reduce their carbon footprint while supporting their supply chain to help them achieve the same goal. And I think why the outside assistance? Well, I think for many of the supply chain companies, not all, but they won't have their own in-house decarbonisation teams who are working on this, and they won't necessarily have access to training resources and material that will support their workforce. And so that's where we've come in, providing this learning resource to equip their workforce with the knowledge and skills that they need for decarbonisation.
Yeah, and to that point, perhaps you can just expand on what it is that the ECITB is delivering to the water company to help them with this decarbonisation project. Sure.
So we are specifically providing access to an online training set of modules. There are 4 in total, called Engineering Net Zero, and this is part of our suite of online training modules under our learning experience portal umbrella. So the training itself we launched in July 2024, and it consists, as I say, of 4 modules, providing learners with foundational understanding of the basics of climate change and emissions reduction, how individuals and companies can reduce their own carbon footprint, and the types of actions and efforts that companies can take who operate in engineering construction with process and plant and machinery. So it's tailored content to the needs of the workforce operating in industries such as water treatment. And so provided that access online for Welsh Water's workforce and also, as I say, their supply chain companies. And it's free to access, it's available for them, and it's really helping boost knowledge and awareness of those individuals' roles and responsibilities in relation to the decarbonisation journey that the water sector is going on.
Okay, and in terms of the more widely the learning experience platform or portal, give us a bit? Can you give us a bit of a flavour? Obviously, these particular models, I think you said four, are relevant to Welsh Water. But what else is it that platform can provide to all the other folks that you engage with?
Yeah, of course. So it's a growing resource. We currently have 8,500 free to access online courses on the platform, which are available for companies that are part of the ECITB footprint of companies, and also their supply chain and their client workforces as well. And so essentially, it's knowledge-based training covering a wide range of topics and disciplines, including content specific for companies operating in the water sector, but also broader topics, health and safety, and a wide range of knowledge-based learning. Since we've launched the platform in 2023, we've supported thousands of learners, and over 100,000 courses have now been completed on the platform. So it's a growing resource. I think it reflects the way in which many of us in our day-to-day work now want to consume learning, which is in bite-size chunks. Accessing it when you have time and when you can fit that into your schedule. So it's really, really easily accessible. And as I say, it's available to companies that are on the ECITB register, but we've also made it free of charge to wider parts of industry, including the water industry, through our Explore portal, which is one of the portals that we have as part of the learning experience platform. So a really broad range of access, and I think the numbers speak for themselves. People are accessing it and are finding it valuable.
Okay, perhaps now on to your strategy for 2026 to 2030, and I think it includes, if I read it correctly, water treatment asset management plan B. But just, I guess, give us the sort of high level view of why now and what's the sort of thinking behind the document.
Yes, so we published a new 5-year strategy a few weeks back for 2026 to 2030, and I think really the strategy reflects the evolving and changing needs of the industry when it comes to workforce. A particular kind of driver for the strategy is projections that we have published based on our own labour market intelligence work that suggests that up to around 40,000 additional workers may well be needed across engineering construction sectors as a whole between now and 2030, and that includes for projects in the decarbonisation space too. Just within the water treatment sector alone, we're forecasting a 48% increase in potential demand for additional workers by 2030. These are big numbers, Phil, and what is clear to us is that the workforce that we train, the engineers and project managers that we train within the water treatment sector, they are in high demand from other adjacent industries as well. And so there is a natural degree of competition for skilled labour, but only a finite number of workers to go around. And so the new strategy seeks to address that head on by investing in entry-level programs to train up new talent, by upskilling and reskilling the workforce so that they have the skills that they need for the future through tools like our learning experience platform that I've just mentioned, and also trying to invest in the training system, training providers, colleges, boosting their resources and capabilities so that they can train the next generation of workers and also equip the current workforce with the skills they need. So it's a pretty ambitious strategy, but really centered on trying to tackle those big challenges head on. Skill shortages, a growing demand for workers, also an aging workforce. We know in water treatment alone, a third of workers are over the age of 50, and so we have a potential problem further on down the track unless we address that now by providing new entry pathways for learners to get into that sector. So As I say, quite a daunting set of challenges, but one that we've got a good track record of working towards, and through collaboration with employers, training providers, and also government. I think we're in a good place to start delivering that early next year.
And in terms of, so we sort of talked about the drivers of the current situation. In terms of the strategic outcomes, do you have any sort of specific targets, or just generally a place you think you want to get to, or just how prescriptive, I suppose, is the strategy in terms of the outcomes?
It's a 5-year strategy, and we've sort of set some high-level strategic outcomes that we're aiming towards, and obviously, inevitably, the world doesn't stand still, so they will evolve over time. But really, we've tried to sort of structure our outcomes by 3 key audiences, I guess. For the workforce, a key part of this strategy, or a key outcome, is providing them with access to quality training and qualifications, and also in-demand and transferable skills that will allow them to embark on and continue with what we hope will be fulfilling careers within the industry. For employers in the industry specifically, we're looking to support measures that will allow them to attract, upskill, and retain an agile, diverse, and also competent workforce in sufficient numbers that will allow them to meet the needs of their clients and the projects that they have currently underway and also in the pipeline, and also benefit through skills and training from an increasingly productive workforce whose skills are optimized. And then finally, this is an industry that services UK PLC. Without it, the water wouldn't run, and for other parts of the industry, the lights wouldn't stay on. And so, this is really about investing in skills provision that will power new infrastructure, unlock social mobility, providing opportunities for people furthest from the labour market to get into really fulfilling careers, and also help attract investment to the UK and drive regional growth. So, pretty ambitious set of outcomes. We're working on our new business plan, which will set some targets for the first year of delivery. But as I say, it's a 5-year strategy, and those are the aims that we're working towards. And we're confident that with the right partners, through the right collaboration, we'll be able to make some serious headway in the coming year or two against each of those outcomes.
Okay, and in terms of the delivery, if I remember correctly from the doc, you've got sort of 3 key pillars to do that. So perhaps if you can just tell us a little bit about each of those, how it works together.
Yeah, sure. So we are statutory bodies. So the first pillar is about delivering against our statutory remit. We collect a levy from employers who are within our footprint, who are conducting engineering construction activities. And so, delivery is about making sure that all those companies that pay the levy should, and that we invest it in training that provides, high value, that is high quality training to industry. In addition, we set standards, so we set training and occupational standards for key disciplines within the industry, and this is all about making sure that the training that the workforce get is industry certified and of the highest standards. So we'll continue doing that. The second pillar is about growing and scaling up our successful strategic programs and initiatives, things like the learning experience platform that I've already mentioned, but also other initiatives that we've successfully piloted and delivered in the last few years. Programs like our Work Ready program, which is about providing the long-term unemployed with entry-level training, a 16-week course to give them the basic requisite skills to get into a career in the industry. We run that program with DWP and other and local authorities in different parts of the country, and we're really keen to expand and grow that program, and also target other underrepresented groups such as ex-offenders. And then the third pillar is I guess the most challenging, but also the most interesting in insofar as it's all about transforming the skill system. So the ability, the fact that we have this collective levy, which raises approximately £30 million a year, allows us to invest in strategic interventions that can unlock progress. So a key part of that is investing in our regional skills hubs. So we've allocated already £4 million to essentially boosting training capacity in key regions of the country that will allow training providers to train up greater numbers of learners. We've got plans to grow that program and also support wider collaboration between training providers within regions. And that will be critical, because actually, if we are going to solve the skills needs of industries like water treatment, it's really important in those areas of the country where the sector is prominent, because it has big projects planned coming up in the next 5 years. It's really important the local partners collaborate, and we see our, we see our role as very much being a convening party in that regard, which is able to invest strategically in initiatives that will drive better outcomes for training and skills too. So, yeah, 3 pillars, all kind of key to what we do, and some exciting stuff in there too, which is slightly new for us, but we're really keen to get going on it.
Okay, and maybe just in finishing, it'd be good to understand sort of how you'd characterize your ECITB's involvement with the UK water sector, I guess specifically as of now, and do you see that developing over time with this new strategy, or is it sort of more of the same, or are there different things going to happen? Just anything you can share, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I'd say, Phil, that we've got some good relationships, and we have been building relationships with the water companies over the last 2 to 3 years. I've obviously mentioned the Welsh Water collaboration. We've had similar collaborations with the other water companies in England too, and also the supply chain companies that undertake the work in the water treatment sector. We work very closely with them too. I think that is only likely to grow over the coming 5-year period, largely in light of the projects that have been scheduled as part of the AMP8 programme. So the record level of investment that we're going to be seeing in the water sector, in water infrastructure, in new treatment facilities and recycling facilities, it will all lead to a need to grow the pipeline of skilled workers coming into the water treatment industry, which by definition will lead to the ECITB playing a greater role to support the sector. So, I think we can see the opportunities on the horizon, and it's why we're collaborating now with the likes of Welsh Water to put in place programs to start identifying what their and their supply chain companies' training needs will be, where they see the real pinch points when it comes to skilled workers in the disciplines where they feel the greatest pressure to recruit, and some of the programs that I've already mentioned, we will look to deploy strategically in different parts of the country to support the sector. So, a really big focus on driving skills training to support projected workforce needs, but also going back to the training that we provided to Welsh Water. We know there's increasing pressure on the water sector to meet its commitments to tackle its own emissions, and so the decarbonisation focus, the focus within the water sector on building up its infrastructure, the pressures on water supply more generally in certain parts of the UK, all of that will mean a greater focus, I think, on training and developing the workforce, so that those companies within the water sector can meet its obligations. And so, yeah, a big focus for us, and we'll continue to do that in collaboration, as I say, and I suppose anyone listening to this, if they're in the sector, Phil, and they haven't already engaged with the ECITB, very much will welcome their connecting with us, because I think it's only by working in collaboration can we tackle some of these problems.
Excellent. It's been fantastic to chat, and thank you so much for sharing the insights into the work you're doing specifically in the water industry, and then obviously the strategy, which sounds very exciting and challenging. But it's yeah, it's going to be interesting few years for you. But it clearly is needed, as you say, the profile of the water industry workforce is not getting any younger, shall we say? So something needs to happen. So really enjoyed chatting, and thanks again for your time, David. Thank you.
Thank you.